Hi, this is Roll for Crit, and right now we are going to give you a preview of Trick Shot from Wolffdesigna. This is a game that's on Kickstarter now, and it simulates one of those sports that you may have heard of known as hockey.
Yes, we are excellent followers of sports. This is actually a push your luck game. The way the game works is on your turn you can perform multiple actions. Pretty simple, you'd probably guess if you know anything about the sport. You can move, try to pass the puck to another player, or you can shoot on goal, or if you don't have the puck, try to hit or poke the opponent who has it. But the way it works is you're going to roll dice. You're going to choose a character for your first action, you roll one die, and depending on the symbol, they won't be numbered, they'll actually have different symbols of either failure, bounce, or reaction. And if you get a success, it's successes. But you roll more dice for each action afterwards. So the idea is pushing your luck because you have more chance to get a failure, depending if, like, by your fifth action, you're rolling 5 dice. And more chances for different results. But you can choose to stop at any time, which may be in your favor because if you fail on certain actions, for example, failing a pass will maybe make it shoot way too far. Failing on a poke or hit may actually get you penalized, which means your guy will be off the field for some time.
If you do happen to fail a roll, or maybe you just give the other player a reaction move and you don't want them to have it, you do have the option to re-roll by using these stamina tokens down here. Each player has 3, and when you use one, you flip it over to show that it's been exhausted, and you re-roll any of the non-success results that you got. And then you go with that new one, or you could spend another one to re-roll it again. You do not get these guys unflipped unless, instead of taking an action, you can end your turn by choosing to refresh all 3 of them. After each player's turn, you move this turn marker along the track, and when it gets to the end, that's the end of a period, and you could play just 1 period, or a full game is 3 periods. Also, if you want to spice it up, I'd say kind of gamify it a little bit more than being just traditional hockey, they have these special cards. And when you have these, each player is going to have a set at the beginning of the game, and you can decide to reveal one of them face up. And they have special powers that can greatly impact how your players can move, shoot, how they react to the opponent, basically give you special abilities that break the rules in some way.
This changes it from a mirror match where everything is the same to having some advantages. For example, one of the ones we found really cool was you could just move through players instead of being stopped by them, which could be the difference getting to the goal line or not. But every time you do the refresh action that we stated before, you are forced to change as well. So you will have to think, is it worth now to get those re-roll tokens, or do I want to keep this strong ability out?
Yeah, and each type of player also has stats for their speed and their size, and that changes, obviously, speed, how far you can move in a single turn, and for size, whether or not you can hit an opponent, you have to be bigger than them.
Yeah, I don't think this little guy's going to be able to push this big guy around. We should mention this is a prototype, obviously. In particular, these standees will actually be miniatures.
That's right.
I know that's a big thing, so we should probably state that right now.
And again, the custom dice and an actual board, not this. It's a little pasted together. So if you like hockey and you're familiar with the rules of hockey, I'm not. But from what I know about it, not going into these, this is relatively faithful in terms of the rules, but I think what it does is add a very interesting game element, which is, like you said, the push your luck of each time you take an action, adding a new die and risking failing something. And that I think is a very interesting mechanic combined with it.
Yeah, the other hockey game we reviewed was actually the NHL deck building game from Cryptozoic.
Which I don't think quite approximates a real hockey game.
No, I think that one's better if you're, like, specifically for the fan of the named players, when this is more like you think actually how the game is played.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, like, one playing the game, because the way it works, you can't act the same guy twice, you have to go back and forth a little bit. I think the same way more of everyone moving at the same time. You might think, like, okay, I can move him here, and I'm going to push my luck too hard, so maybe I should just set up to be a bit more defensive before I go for the goal shot, so I can maybe refresh my tokens. You're thinking a bit more like that, which I think maybe if you enjoy playing the game more, you're more likely to enjoy this. It also isn't too complicated either. You know, it's just rolling dice. You have to think, am I really worried that I'm going to fail this turn or not?
Yeah, pretty much every action works the same way. Just the dice results may do slightly different things. And yeah, these tokens are a big part of the strategy because sometimes we had a couple of cases where we just decided, I'm not even going to do anything on my turn but refresh and give it back to you. And that also speeds up the clock a bit, depending on what the score is like and what the positioning is like. There are different options you might
Well, the thing is that actually, I think stamina, it actually does that very well because if you're all flipped, you're very stressed.
Right.
But you can breathe a bit more when you have them. So I think in a weird way it worked really well.
And there is just this satisfying, when you take a sport and like this and you make it turn-based, I think there's a risk of it feeling not as dynamic and exciting. But I think they do a good job. It does feel good if you manage to get the right rolls and line things up. When you pass one to this guy and then into the goal, it does have kind of an exciting flavor to it.
Part of that is because there is the chance of a reaction may occur, which means if an opponent rolls, in this case it's a 4, but there'll be a symbol for it. What would happen is, let's say they rolled a 4, you successfully were able to pass the puck here, but I get to move a guy now 1, unless a trick shot says otherwise, which means I may be thinking on my turn, how can I mess up your plan for the next thing by moving 1? But this is a dice rolling game, so you can have some moments where you just keep rolling fails, especially for me. The first turn, when you get 1 die, when you should be the least stressed, that case I rolled 4, but I rolled 1 multiple times, so if you're not a huge fan of the randomness there, this might not be the game for you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a push your luck, so it has that element, and like we said, there's ways to re-roll, so, your mileage may vary on that front, but it's definitely pretty dice heavy. But yeah, we were fans of Wolffdesigna's last game that we previewed, Warpgate, and this is a very different style of game. That was a sci-fi.
No, this isn't the same universe. It takes place on the ships.
It could be on Earth. It could be the same thing. But yeah, if you like hockey, and I'm someone who doesn't like hockey, but I had fun playing this game, so you might want to take a look at Trick Shot, which we will have a link to the Kickstarter for right in our description below, and you can comment as well to let us know what you think about this, maybe as a hockey fan or not as a hockey fan, if you're going to take a look and maybe back this game. Talk to us there. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Roll for Crit.
Hey, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more excellent board game content.
Heck yeah!